It would help if I unmuted my mic. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Glad to have you here. We're going to be getting started very shortly with the qualifier number 3 of the South Sea Mercenary League 2024. And having a blast doing these qualifiers. And here we are, North America friendly time in the evening. Nice mid-afternoon, late afternoon even. kind of process here. Just to remind you all the format. So there's 4 qualifiers. And basically this bracket shows the finals of each qualifier, and then the 4 said qualifiers who will go on to win a grand prize, or at least compete for it. Yeah, we've still got 2 more qualifiers to get through, so for today, let's see who comes out on top. We're going to start with fight a match with Blood Penguin here versus Not Alfarius of the VM clan, so should be quite an exciting match. Blood Penguin's a veteran player I've seen play before. It's definitely quite solid. So, yeah, big welcome to everyone. Glad to see you all. Yeah, I don't know if Battlesian and Anticity, I saw you guys pop in for a moment there. I got a notification. I don't know if you and your chat are still hanging around, but regardless, everyone who's here, thank you all so much for being here. We're going to be getting started shortly. So it's land battles with caps. Those of you new to the format, it's just land battles with the capture point that opens up basically immediately and will award points over time to whoever controls it. If the players aren't dealing enough damage to each other, then a second point opens up, and that's to avoid, like spell kiting or other kind of boring, uninteractive forms of gameplay. So yeah, it's basically just land battles with built-in rules, which is really nice. It's what we want for tournaments. So definitely been glad to support this format. It's been a lot of fun so far. So yeah, all right. Hear from the Anticity games. Yeah, I saw Anticity and Battlesy were playing some land battles with caps, right? I was getting ready for the tournament, and I didn't get a chance to catch their stream. I think I saw the lobby up in the pre-show there. So yeah, nice to see. Anticity also in this tournament, loves this format. I don't think so. I don't know if he knew about it beforehand, but I do have one more qualifier. I'd obviously be more than happy to have both Battlesy and Anticity come compete if they want. It is quite a fun format, I have to say, and it's basically, yeah, best of both worlds between kind of domination and land battles, in my opinion. Granted, there's still people who like domination better, and that's totally fine. More power to them. If you enjoy that game mode, if you're one of those people, or if you're, have someone who helped to make that game mode, or if you're a caster who casts games in that game mode, more power to you. I'm glad you enjoy it, but that's just not for me, so I'm glad I have this community-created land battles with caps help fulfill similar itch, but in a more traditional Total War land battle style, which is ultimately what I'm looking for. The spectacle of these battles, these massive scale battles, is what we want to see. So, yeah, glad to have you all here. It's been so much fun. Had some serious scraps the first 2 tournaments. Today we've got a few less participants, although still quite a bit, especially for a Friday night in the summertime. Other people got other plans. Some people, it's nice and hot out. For others, they're traveling with their families. So I understand, a lot of Europeans too. It's super late, right? So glad for everyone who's here participating and watching. But going to be getting started here. It looks like we've got Warriors of Chaos versus Bretonnia. Valkia the Bloody here. Sort of standing in with a little bit of a Tzeentch-inspired build. I mean, the Tzeentch Halberd... Tzeentch Spawn, I should say, plus Halberds has been quite popular recently for that faction. We see that again reflected for Warriors of Chaos here. The Spawn, just with that armor sundering component for Tzeentch, trade that much more effectively, and the barrier also helps them shrug off shock damage. It's just generally really good against Bretonnia, having the barrier be able to absorb some of the damage from charges of cavalry especially. But let's see, both players loading in now. These beautiful community-created maps. Absolutely gorgeous. This one in particular, Oakenhammer, is one from the Turin map pack, I believe, that was also repurposed for land battles with caps. Pew pew pew. Exactly. Exactly. So, yeah, pretty good scale here on this little dwarven fortress, I have to say. It's quite nice. Do appreciate the stakes and spikes and so forth. Got a nice brazier. Is that a pig being roasted over there on the wall? That's fantastic. Quite fantastic. Got like an underway tunnel over there. Some really cool details. Love these community maps. I'm gonna put a lot of time and effort into these for sure. So yeah, these players are now looking like they're loading in. And let's see what they can do. Yeah, Bretonnia, like saw King Lewin there in the build as well. He's obviously going to be key in helping to tear away armor and melee defense from halberd infantry. Or, you know, Zinch, even Khorne as well. Khorne halberd's quite scary, obviously. So, yeah, I've got the Mutalith Vortex Beast, Regiment of Renown as well, which is quite good. Obviously, the AoE drain and the burst damage from the Maelstrom of Change is very strong, especially against cavalry units. So yeah, should be pretty good there. Looks like we've got some warriors with halberds. We've got some spawn. Looks like poison warhounds there. And yeah, fire sorcerer. Makes sense. Let's see, cascading fire cloak. Very good for helping buff melee defense for anyone who needs it. And also just gives a straight buff to Valkyria's weapon strength, of course, from Kindle Flame anytime you cast that on anyone. Not to mention straight armor piercing damage on her directly if she does get it on her, right? The melee defense also helps for big, important fights. Here, warriors with halberds will also be a great target. They've already got pretty good melee defense. Will go up even higher. And extra armor piercing damage, of course, to help fight through cavalry. We've got some Marauder Horsemen also. Poison Warhounds. Plague Penguin coming in hot with Bretonnia here. Yeah, King Lewin up in the sky. We've got one unit of Hippo Knights. Some Field Trebuchets. And Grail Knights as well. Yeah, looks like Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis and some more cheaper Knights. And then some Peasant Mobs in the front line with single Spearmen at Arm. Yeah, the single Spearman, single Archer here. Just the one Grail Knight plus the Hippogriff Knight is quite a bit, so a lot of the healing from the Damsel will have to be dedicated into that. She is also on foot, which is going to leave her fairly vulnerable to getting sniped here. So that could be a big problem. Yeah, just Earthblood and Regrowth, not looking for any AoE damage. Dwellers can be decent in this matchup, especially if you have, like, the Fae, but, yeah. See what they can do here. It is a beautiful map, right? Honestly, this puts some of Creative Assembly's maps to shame. Really, really well done. Like, professionally done, I would say. Yeah, whoever made this, CA needs to hire them. Let's see what they can do here. Both players kind of approaching. Trebuchets are going to want to obviously focus fire on the halberds. There's only 3 halberds in totality, so it's actually not that much at the end of the day. Aeson is going to be quite dangerous as well, especially with just the one archer, so curious to see how Bretonnia can go about combating him. The Hippogriff Knights are not going to be great at targeting single entities, as we've seen in recent videos if you've been following the channel. They're just generally pretty poor at fighting single entities, even in a surround. It's much more why you'd have the Grail Knights. They have a direct anti-large bonus. And with that 75 charge especially, while that charge bonus is active, they will pummel pretty much anything they get a surround on. So that's going to be best bet for Aeson. Now, from Alfarius' perspective, he needs to realize, okay, the threats to the Mutalith Vortex Beast, the Archer a little bit, but since there's only one, it's not too threatening. The Grail Knights are definitely one to be worried about, so he's got to screen well with these halberds and spawn, make sure the Grail Knights don't get onto Aeson. I don't know, maybe he could even bait forward a little bit here and get the Grail Knights to charge Aeson and then countercharge them with the spawn, perhaps. But let's see how things go. Lewin and the Grail Knights going to seize the objective initially here. Start to get Bretonnia on the board on points. 700 tickets means it will matter somewhat. Both players kind of play very patiently. We saw last time around, Pigman got killed on objective, even though he was winning the battle pretty decisively. Just couldn't dislodge some Infernal Ironsworn off of the objective, which ended up being his downfall. But yeah, you can see Alfarius is just moving up onto the objective as a priority, since he's got a fairly sturdy defensive position here. Yeah, the second cap point might open. Although right now the trebuchets are landing some pretty good hits in here. And we also see the Knights of the Realm kind of chasing Warhounds away a little bit. Yeah, the angle was not spectacular, and one burning head just wrecks the Peasant Bowmen, literally just shatters them. So that's one threat to Aeson removed immediately. Yeah, and King Lewin also hard lands here. The Chaos Sorcerer getting a little bit greedy, but this is also going to bait Royal Hippogriff Knights and the Grail Knights in here. We do see the Maelstrom of Change unleashed, which is going to do massive damage. You need to see a regrowth immediately to respond to that. But looks like, yep, they are going to get that immediately. Okay. Blood Penguin playing this how he should. We're going to see a Spear Slopnir as well, cutting down the one peasant. I mean, the other mobs are just kind of here. There's not really a lot of use for them hanging around, but it looks like Alfarius is also going to get his hounds onto the trebuchets. Yeah, the Knights of the Realm a little bit out of position to actually protect there. But let's see. Trebuchets are continuing to fire at the central location, just getting mad value shooting into this blob. So if this one can stay protected... Ooh, Alfarius maybe had an angle to charge in there. Would have definitely lost his Warhounds, but even this other one, Knights of the Realm are actually able to get there fast enough. They should be able to maybe sail... Yeah, they do actually save the field trebuchet crew there. So despite Alfarius' good get, that's going to potentially come back to haunt him, as those trebuchets are able to stay online and just pound away at his halberds. Once the spawn are isolated, they should be able to get worn down by successive knight cycle charging. But yeah, the flyers also for Bretonnia, prioritizing going after these Marauder Horsemen. Even though they're not the most high value units, their tactical usefulness is going to be very key here. So to just get rid of that flexibility for Chaos immediately makes a lot of sense. And basically to just go after weaker targets here. Like, there's enough strong units in this Chaos build that... Well, I say enough. There's a handful here that you can kind of just avoid for the most part with Bretonnia's mobility advantage and just do what he's doing. Just come in here, crush whatever units you can, equalize things as much as possible before you have to move in against these more dangerous units. But the Grail Knights get a really nice open charge there against the spawn. With the halberds not in position to protect, they take a ton of damage. Yeah, I see the Defenders of the Fleur-de-Lis there going to charge in much less effectively into the halberds, kind of just baiting. See also the Royal Hippogriff Knights starting to land there, so Blood Penguin's doing a great job kind of picking this very tall defensive build apart. Alfarius just localizing kind of all his troops in one area, although here this is quite dangerous for the spawn at least. They're getting separated from the rest of the pack for Tzeentch, so let's see if the Grail Knights come in to punish with Lewin. Looks like maybe they're peeling off on other targets perhaps. Grail Knights do need to be careful they don't get too overwhelmed here, but plenty of Knights of the Realm spawn to fight back the spawn and screen. Ooh, King Lewin gets in here and just KOs the Sorcerer. Might full-on shatter him here. And while Aeson will be a decent combatant, especially combined with Valkia 2v1, they'll do just fine. Lewin can just nope out of that engagement, utilize his mobility to great effect. Royal Hippogriff Knights getting back up in the air once again. Any reason I could take Kairos' Village as Lord? Actually, it's not Kairos, but in this matchup, Sarthrel can be good. He's a little bit risky against somebody like Lewin, because Lewin can definitely goon him, but Sarthrel's magic, having Greater Arcane Conduit on Lore of Metal is really good, especially against Bretonnia, I feel like, so that could be a good Lord option here as well. Valkia is okay. She's a pretty good anti-large combatant. She can maybe contest against Lewin alright, but I'd probably honestly rather go with Archaon here, so he's your caster Lord all at one. He's a little bit scarier of a combatant. Can just wreck through ground targets. But here, Lewin gets Aeson and Valkia both, again, isolated away from all the halberd support. Grail Knights are going to move in, and this is potentially a really nice engagement. Aeson's actually not taking that much damage, though, and the spawn and halberds do manage to kind of countercharge. Hippogriffs interrupt one halberd, but looks like the Grail Knights are forced away there. Knights of the Realm even terror route, so a little Burning Head action on the Trebuchet should just straight full route them. Wow, does Burning Head... That's doing a lot of damage. Is that, that's just regular Burning Head? That's kind of crazy, to be honest. I forgot how much damage it did. Did they change something about it? Anyway, yeah, those Trebs, they got some pretty good value. Yeah, they paid for themselves, despite getting horribly killed there with half their ammunition still. Tactically also, with the Trebuchets just fleeing away, like kind of resulting in these chaos units getting a little more kind of spread out and strung out and isolated. But Aeson's going to be tough. Going to be very, very tough. Plague Penguin pretty far ahead on value, but even still might lack the tools late game to kill Aeson. He needs the Knights plus Lewin pretty much to be able to do it, so at least Lewin might be able to do it on his own, but it's RNG and he might lose. He wouldn't want to take that fight just straight up without some extra insurance, and in order to do so, you do have to get rid of these support units, which the spawn are pretty much done. There's, what, 3 of them left, and they're extremely low HP at this point. The halberds, yeah, there's a handful of them left as well, so looking alright for Bretonnia. These Hippogriff Knights still have a lot of HP left. Good amount of healing cap space. Caster is critically alive. Alfarius hasn't really had the opportunity to try and snipe here. I mean, Valkia is mobile enough that she could potentially go after her, but lack of anti-infantry. She's more of an anti-large combatant, right? I mean, she's a good enough combatant. She could definitely just crush the damsel, but yeah, doesn't want to necessarily leave these other troops alone here. So yeah, both players just kind of taking stock, reassessing. Blood Penguin is currently in control of the objective, technically. As you can see, it's over here, kind of separated from where Alfarius is positioned. So, yeah, it looks very impressive here. Makes sense. Makes sense. And that was a very square hits as well from Alfarius. Very well placed on those burning heads. But let's see. Wow, full health Knight of the Realm here. Must have been in tactical reserve. Absolutely did not notice those guys. That's going to be pretty massive as they were able to provide quite a bit of extra bodies here. Yeah, once again, Aeson getting separated. We cast that AoE magic damage. But look at this. Lewin just coming in with the steel chair. Absolutely fantastic Sword of Crone. Massive debuff, and all the Bretonnian noble knights rush in to slay the most foul Mutalith Vortex beast. Absolute monstrosity. Has no place in the civilized world, of course. So, yes, Aeson getting wrecked there. That's going to lead to pretty much a chain terror route for almost all of the Chaos forces here. Halberds managing to hold their leadership momentarily, as does Valkia. But, oh yeah, Aeson just gets straight killed by Lewin there. The lore is out of control in this one. Lewin just dealing righteous justice to Chaos, of course, that it deserves. Valkia up in the sky is going to pop a momentary invulnerability, but ultimately it is just a fool's errand. You can see these warriors get crushed as well on the ground. And, yeah, some mobs also in tactical reserve hanging around into the late game. They're going to get their chance at glory by whacking a Chaos warrior in the back of the head with a shovel. So there you go. Gojira is a potato. You're right, it's Poison Ducky. Facts. Inarguable facts. Valkyria's actually doing okay against these Hippogriff Knights. Again, they're not the best at fighting single entities, especially when she's, like, fighting one of them at a time here, because they don't move in to get a full surround on her. But, yeah, Lewin can always pop back up in the air and finish it off, so... For the lady, indeed. Definitely a fun one. So let's see here, just checking the bracket. Looks like Pembrokeshire is succeeded on versus Pigman. And so Pembrokeshire and Gojira are going to be playing next. We've also got Umaze versus Alric in round 2.
You have been bested.
Oof. Yeah, that was an interesting one for sure. Plague Penguin played that perfectly and really just excelled on the value on his elite knights here in terms of both the Hippogriff Knights and the Grail Knights. Did quite well. Yeah, Knights of the Realm also just great value all around, to be honest. Perfect use of the Knights there. Trebuchets were a great sort of asset as well. And just because Alfarius' build sort of played into his hands a little bit. It was very sort of dense and focused in one area, right? Which meant that he didn't really have a lot of opportunity to try and get at those trebuchets. He did get a few good jumps on them, but wasn't ultimately able to finish the job, which did come back to bite him pretty hard, I feel like. The trebuchet damage on those halberds was pretty key, not only raw value-wise, but also tactically, so nice to see there. Let's move on, see if we can catch another game. Oh, it looks like Blood Penguin versus Hadris. As Hadris just prevailed in that battle there, so we will jump in with that. Cavalry power indeed. Man, fight the battle. Fight the battle. Oop. Oh, that was kind of loud. Apologies, guys. Kind of scared me. I don't even know. Maybe some of you got spooked as well by that. But let's see here. Okay. Let's submit that. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Gonna be getting some replays. Some people are already starting to send in some replays from today, which is fantastic. Gonna be getting back to it here, dropping a ton of content. I'm gonna be out of town, not next week, but the week after, like right after the qualifier. I'm going off to vacation, so gotta pre-record a bunch of content for you guys this upcoming week. Part of the time I'm going to be gone, I think Creative Assembly is actually releasing their full roadmap, which, hype, by the way. I know a lot of Greenskins mains who are hype. It's definitely a choice to include the Greenskins, but I think... So here's my sort of read on the situation. Well, I can definitely talk about Ogres more in a minute, Polky, but just overall, a lot of people thought it was an odd decision to include the Greenskins. Likewise, if you look at Creative Assembly's statements around the time of Thrones of Decay, they had pretty much said that they don't think they're going to be doing, if I remember right, that this 3-Lord DLC pack, 3-faction DLC pack format was not going to continue going forward. They're going to switch to something else. My guess is they saw how successful Thrones of Decay was, that they thought, let's look at a faction that doesn't need that big of a campaign rework, that already seems to work pretty well, that just could use more added units for flavor. That's maybe a very popular faction that will draw a lot of eyes and people to the DLC. Greenskins, I would say, fit perfectly within that mold. So, yeah. Which is why when you kind of take it in that context, like, okay, they added Greenskins on basically as a bonus faction to... You know, maybe it was going to be Khorne versus Ogres before, just the two of them, and they're like, you know, the data says that we could add the Greenskins for not that much cost, and it would, you know, boost the DLC sales overall, which I'm totally fine with that, to be honest. If it means Greenskins get new toys, especially battle-wise. I mean, campaign, like I said, they're fine, but, okay, let's see here. Oops. Set the super secret password. But yes, ogres. What do you think would make ogres more effective? Man-eater variants would be pretty interesting. That would just give them more tactical flexibility, like especially if they had very different roles. Like if I'm not mistaken, there's like an ambusher, like ninja variant of the man-eaters, right? We have the pistol variants and the pirate variants in the game already. But just some more like, I don't know. I have to look at it again. There's a few different variants of man-eaters, but yeah. Yeah, in terms of their missing roster stuff, there is a whole bunch of supplementary Noblar units that would help fill out the bottom end of their roster. It would definitely give them a very different flavor and playstyle as well if those units were decent. I don't know if the Noblar Horde is necessarily something they want to implement. Would definitely be fun and cool, but... 90 people on a Friday night, guys. Maybe I need to do weekend evening streams more often. Got quite a few people hanging out today, so appreciate you all coming out. These two get their faction picks locked in. And I'm actually going to go take a phone call real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, sorry, I just had to take that phone call real quick. I'm back now, and these guys are just about ready. Just remind them. Not that it's a big deal, but it is supposed to be. Tickets. So. Okay, yes. Looking good. Friday, time for battle. 100%. 100%. Ah, yes. Yes, yes. Beastmen versus Greenskins. Ah, good times. Yeah, Bray Shaman of Shadows. We got 2 Pestigors, 2 Centaurs of Zinch. Nice, nice, nice. Scarsnick coming in hot. With, yeah, the big spider and the rogue idol. Oh, man. Goji going heavy with the big in. See how it can hold up against the foul Centaurs. Blood Vultures, Yeti. Yeah, Blood Vultures would be good, like an actual flying kind of contest light unit. Lords and Heroes, they're missing a couple Lords of Magic in particular. Like, they're supposed to have Death and Heavens, I believe, right? If I'm not mistaken, so that'd be nice. Death would actually probably be really good for Ogres, and, I mean, Heavens exists. Definitely exists, so... Or Heavens. It's like... They're all damage spells, and none of them are that good. For the most, I mean, there's... First, the Midnight Wind is, like, decent for a debuff. And, yeah, Harmonic Convergence also decent for a single target buff, but it's like... None of the damage spells are that good, and they're mostly all damage spells. In comparison to, like, similar spells for other factions, right? So... Greenskins DLC is a pleasant surprise. I'm very hopeful that we get some... Norskin equivalents for these guys, basically. Some, like, God-marked Khorne-specific units that are usable for Norska, because Khorne already has a Beastman unit in the Minotaurs, and Khorne Gores, obviously, too, could be included probably pretty easy. They probably will be. But, yeah, it would be nice to get some, as I've mentioned in the previous videos, some, like, Marauder, you know, champs of Khorne, or some Marauder Horse Masters of Khorne, maybe. Comet is just very easy to dodge and inconsistent. Chain Lightning is okay. It's, as far as Vortexes go, it's alright. I'd probably still take, like, Flamestorm or maybe even Banishment, honestly, over it. Actually, don't know. Maybe Banishment does less damage. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but... Oh yeah, all the undead factions, too, are just way behind the times, but that's okay, because I hate undead, so... How often do you think Karnak will fit within the Khorne roster? Really depends on his cost and what abilities come baked in and what abilities you have to pay for. As with any multiplayer, to be honest, those are often some of the biggest determining factors. So if he's cost effective and has like his magic shutdown abilities baked into his initial cost, then he'll be very good, probably extremely competitive. Even if he's kind of middling cost and you have to pay for his abilities, as long as it makes sense to be able to shut down your opponent's magic effectively enough, he could be a good add in a lot of matchups, I think. But visual in the middle of the map looks scary, but it won't actually blow units up. Okay, good to know. It's false warpstone, here to lure in Skaven so the Cathayans can ambush them. Right? That's the lore of this map. Interesting. Yeah, Goji making his way forward with his big Doom box here. Got goblins up front, squigs behind, Biggin, Arachnarok Queen, Skarsnik, and the River Troll Hag all in a traffic jam here. For the Beastmen, Brave Shaman of Shadows, very interesting, not to see wild. But Ungor Raiders, Ungor Spears, Butchers of Kalkengard looking like they're ready to barrel in here with the Pestigores and the Razorgores. Centigores of Zinch also making a nice flanking attack here. We see Melkos Mystifying Miasma on those Boar Biggins. That's the big spider coming forward here, looking perhaps for some spiderling summons. Yep, to kind of block up the advance of the Beastmen, interrupt them somewhat. Razorgore is going to get a charge in here, a little bit of damage, but plenty of squigs and goblins to oppose them. See the throwing axes in the back line also, just going after those Boar Biggins. Pembroke is definitely going for broke as he tries to attack Goji's mobility here. But of course, these big single entities are where a lot of this power is going to come from, so let's see how they can hold up. Spiderling summons do a good job interrupting that there, and it looks like the Terror is going to be kicking in. Goji can start wrapping up some of these frontline units, maybe overrun into the Ungor Raiders pretty quickly. The Butchers of Kalkengard are hanging around, make sure they stay safe, but yeah, the Biggin also having to come forward here to try and fight back this advance. River Troll Hag is pretty far isolated in the back line, though. And, yeah, I got some Centigores and Bestigores, or Pestigores even. Other nonsense coming through. Beastmen mobility swarming this back line. Very much so. But likewise also losing out pretty heavily in the front line here. As the Greenskins press forward. Butchers of Kalkengard going to get an engagement right as Raw kicks off on the big spider. Juicing it up with extra melee attack and whatnot. Yeah, melee attack, weapon strength. Even psychology doesn't matter when you cause terror, but it's something. I don't think you've ever seen a greenskin box before. Yeah, it's kind of more of a wedge, not really a box, because you do still charge with it, right? So, not necessarily defensive, but yes, I understand what you're saying. Sort of aggressive defensive, right? But, wow, look at how badly the Butchers of Kalkengard there just got absolutely melted. Which is going to keep Goji in contention here. He also throws a Fermented Fungi to lure those Centigores into melee against his Squig herds. The Arachnarok Queen also getting out there, trying to cut off some of those unit models. The Troll's also been regenerating beautifully as it just kind of drags these Centigores across the field. And the Biggin also just completely unopposed at this point. Looks like Pembroke is just ignoring the Rogue Idol at this point. Let's see. Let's see here. Nice charge on the Queen there from the armor-piercing Razorgore herds. The Ungor Raiders also getting some good damage in. We see a little backline bit of shades there for the Brave Shaman of Wild. Yeah, the terror of the spider is prevailing at this point. It looks like Pembroke is focusing pretty heavily to try and take out the spider at this point, which, I mean, doesn't really have a lot of other targets to go after, so it makes sense. OG spending a lot on these two big single entities, which is doing okay so far, but I mean, tactically, I don't know that it's in the best situation for him. Single entities all seem to be holding out just fine, but his multi-model units are struggling quite badly, so let's take a look here. Fear tactics, indeed. Maybe see a little Doom and Darkness. Ooh, yeah, a little Doom and Darkness there. I mean, unfortunately, none of these units are actually suffering, like, base leadership penalties, so they're not really going to be too badly affected by it, but perhaps. I do see another Spiderling summon there coming from the Arachnarok Queen as she continues to try and hold out, but yeah, the support units for Greenskins, because there was so much spent on those single entities, are just so light, having a hard time doing anything, really. What you wouldn't give for a little Purple Sun action right now. I don't think River Troll Hack brought Purple Sun. Yeah, just Fate of Yuna and Doom and Darkness. Not even a Spirit Leech either. Gonna be pretty rough. Brave Shaman definitely would have been heavily punished by the Spirit Leech, but as it is, not looking good for Goji as things start to turn against him. Yeah, the Biggin, definitely a big piece. Sends a message, but doesn't actually do too much here. get a lot of time to throw rocks, and while it gets about 700 value, it's definitely not what you would want in a match like this. So the Butchers of Kalkengard even come back just to get fermented fungi, but yeah, Goji's not going to be able to do much about it since they run out of range and Skarsnik can't hit them. Oh, oof, getting sweaty in here. I mean, in this room, actually, that I'm in, it's quite hot. Not this match. This match, I guess, is a little sweaty, but it's not too sweaty. I feel like there's definitely some fun had here with the bright, big idol bring. Let's take a look here at the bracket. Got Kirith versus Miravoy right now in the opposite bracket, with Hadris versus Blood Penguin, and the winner of this, which is looking to be Pembrokeshire, is going to move on to face Alaric Rawl in the next round. Idol here, standing in the trees, fighting. It's getting some protection. But, yeah, I can see Pembroke just shot out ahead. Like 3,000 damage value there. So looking pretty bleak. The body slam does great damage. The other animations seem to do nothing. Yeah. I'll have to take a look at that. Maybe do a little more testing. There's a lot of units that have kind of broken attack animations right now, especially a lot of big single entities that just seem to not really do very much damage. Maybe something needs to be investigated, but hang on just one second, guys. I'll be right back. There we go. Much better. Get a little coolness coming through here. Yeah, I mean, the idol falls. As does Skarsnik. That'll be the end for Goji. But definitely a glorious battle for sure. So let's move on here. Okay. Yeah, looking good, looking good. As far as the Beastmen go, I mean, Centors of Zinch just so good when used well, and they are just such a solid unit overall. Centigores of Throwing Axes also get some great value. Pestigores do their thing. Yeah, overall, just a little bit overwhelming for such a relatively small Greenskins build. Neither of the single entities got close to paying for themselves either, which is pretty rough for Goji, considering he did spend so much on them. I will say times have definitely changed. There was a point in time where this kind of a build would have given Beastmen some pretty severe problems, but Pembroke able to get through it, so let's move on to the next one. See if we can't get another battle lined up here. Yeah, knockback resistance values are hilariously low on a lot of units, especially like characters who are meant to be on mounts. They generally have very low knockback resistance while on foot. So let's see here. Let these guys get their lobbies hosted. Okay, sorry, just getting some more messages over here. And yeah, just checking some things out, so bear with me just one moment, guys. Put some music on while we get these next few rounds queued up, and let's get it going. Okay, we're just waiting on one side of the bracket to finish up. Alric Growl versus Pembrokeshire is set. The lobby's there, but I'm still waiting on a spectator slot, so I have to wait through that one. Okay. Hope you all are doing well. Dig in or go home. Definitely respect it, Goji. It's definitely sends a message, like I said. But yeah, fun stuff for sure. Yeah, it'd be cool to see Dogs of War. I'm not sure if it's happening at this point. I'm not too hopeful for it, if I'm being honest. But okay, looks like we got one there. Okay, let's jump in here. Yeah, I think for now we'll just let the 3 Grail Knights stand. I mean, we pretty much played with that, I think, already through a few matchups, so, yeah. Yes. Okay, just one second, guys. Wanted to check something on these army setups real quick. Yes, okay, looks fine. Yeah, Dogs of War, it seems like it would be pretty cheap to make. That's why, like, I don't know. Maybe they could always decide to do it at a later date, but I just, with the recent DLC news, it seems pretty clear they're going to try and dedicate their time and resources to, like, helping out factions that need it. I don't know if we're going to get any new factions, per se. You could always split up Dogs of War and apply it to a whole bunch of different factions, which I guess is something they do things, you know. But anyway, sorry, I just got distracted. Let's see here. Yeah, Bretonnia versus Lizardmen. Be interesting. Got Miraboy versus Blood Penguin in the other one, so. Yeah, we'll let's see how this one goes. Who can prevail here? We're in this only like an hour, and we're already down to the semifinal round, which is just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Oh yeah, this is actually a rule break. So that's not good. Pretty sure. Let me just double check here. Yeah, so we're going to have them redo these armies. It is naughty, naughty rule breaking. I don't know why they don't have unit caps turned on. The army limits are built into the unit caps, but that's okay. Bringing Zangors against Nurgle? Why are Zangors bad against Nurgle? I guess you just take as many pinks and blues as possible. Oh. Yeah, I think they did have caps turned off. They must. Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice thing about this format is we can just turn on the unit caps and have it be there. So, let me go ahead and see if I can jump into the other lobby real quick while these guys are resorting. And let's see. Okay, just getting this admin stuff sorted out here on the side. Nice, getting some more replays as well. Good, good, good. Right, makes sense. Best scores would have been a better option. Yeah. Or maybe just more Ungor Raiders. I don't know. Or Nurgle. Just so sad. Okay. Okay, basically what I ruled is, since it was a simple mistake on the host's part, Alric has to reallocate, obviously, the 2,000 funds for that one Hippogriff, and then his opponent also can choose to reallocate up to 2,000 points if they so choose. The rest of the build has to stay the same, so that way we maintain some fairness here. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the bracket, in this semi-final, we've got Miraboy versus Plague Penguin. Should be a grand battle. Let's take a look here at what we can do. Had max on Gores, of course. Naturally. Max on Gores, max throwing axes, right? Just to make Nurgle have a bad time. Maybe double Cygor just to really send a message. Oh, yes. Oof, I'm gonna need a shower after this one. I'm sweaty. Chaos Dwarfs versus Bretonnia feels pretty hard. Yeah, right now Bretonnia feels like they have a pretty good advantage in this matchup, but we'll see what Plague Penguin can do. He definitely had a very solid game earlier, but... Oh, we have someone drop. Might not be able to get through these semis. We're having some technical issues here. Oof. I'm also extremely sweaty, which isn't helping, but what's going on here? Okay, bear with me, guys. Oh, is it? Thank you, Manuel. Thank you for letting me know. That is, I will fix that. I appreciate you letting me know. This is, yeah, it's supposed to be for the bracket number 3, so I've updated that. If you refresh the page, you should be able to now see the correct bracket. I can also just post it in the chat here. There you go. Hey, what's up, Romulan? Thank you. Kind words, I appreciate it. Welcome, welcome. Let's see. Let's see what's happening here. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, no worries, Romulan. We'll have one more qualifier, and right now it's scheduled for the evening. I am actually going to put out a poll tomorrow and just ask if people want to have the next qualifier be in the morning or in the evening, kind of where things stand with that. Because I know there's a lot of people who want to join. It's going to be on a Sunday, so just kind of depends. But yeah, let's see what's going on here. I know, Manuel. It's such a massive file size. Oh, dude, I love sushi. My wife, it's her favorite food, so we go out for sushi all the time. Good places. Well, the thing about keeping it installed is then you have to download an update, which again will like... somehow downloading the update requires twice as much space as just... yeah, downloading it again. Like, literally, it's fast usually. In the past few patches, I feel like it's been faster to literally delete the game and re-download it again rather than patch it, because you need like twice as much space as the game takes up just to patch it. It's absolutely insane. Yeah, I don't know what happened to Mirror Boy. So... yes, Goji, you must. Yeah, not sure what's going on with these semifinal rounds, so... guess we'll just kind of hang out for a minute and let them play their games. Cannot get back into spectate on this one, so that's too bad. So we'll just we'll hang out for a minute. Yeah. Let me see here. Just looking around. Sending out a search party. Figuratively speaking, of course. Is he hanging around in the VM clan Discord? Not that I can see. Odd. Very odd. Yeah, it's possible he might have lost power or internet went down or something, so... Yeah, we'll see what Kirith says. It'd be a little anticlimactic to just send Penguin on to the final. Although, we'll see if Kirith doesn't respond, I might have to. But we'll give everyone a little bit of time to think about it. Oh, no, yes. Okay, Kirith did say yes. Now, we'll give him a couple minutes. See if he can't reboot his internet. But... yeah. Oh yeah, Bannerlords is awesome. Love Bannerlords. The Warhammer mod for Bannerlords is actually very good. Not super finished, but the what is there is a lot of fun, for sure. Definitely enjoy. Hey, such is the life of multiplayer. Indeed, these things do happen in live events, but it's part of the fun of doing live events is the uncertainty. You never know what could happen, right? Wild things that can go down. It is Chat DLC. It's the best lobby name I've seen all day, but yeah, we'll give it a little bit more time here. There's a samurai mod coming out. Oh yeah, that's gonna be great for sure. For sure. I did actually do a full conquest with the Cavalry Expanded mod that adds like a bunch of new settlements and sub-factions. Basically like splits all the main factions into like 2 subcultures basically. And it's a lot of fun. I would definitely recommend. I did a full run as Bretonnians? Oh no, now I remember. Yeah, there's like it's the culture that's actually from Warband. They like re-added it in the like Slavic culture kind of dudes. I forget. I think they have like the Druzhina and stuff. I'm pretty sure it's that faction that I actually did the full conquest with. But anyway, super fun. Hmm. Let's see here. Yeah, 2 more minutes. We'll do 2 more minutes. Most of the good mods from Warband are God tier. Yes, definitely there's some amazing mods for Warband. There's like a Viking lands one, if I remember right, where you like set sail on a boat and go to like a whole new landmass. Anyway. Yeah. So much good stuff. There's like the kind of Crusader Kings mechanics mod where you get more like in-depth like peace negotiations and different stuff like war score and different kind of mechanics, paradox style mechanics implemented. Of course there's a waifu mod. Of course. Absolutely. Such things are essential. Oof. I feel for you, Miravoy. But it's looking like we're probably going to go with Kirith. So let's go ahead and make that switch. Originally going so smooth in the first part of this tournament. Now we've hit a couple of snags here, which is fine. It happens from time to time. But, yeah, gather your waifus. Fight to the death, indeed. Oh, yeah. Looking at some different stuff here. Got the fruit rules, which is what the unicaps in this mod are based on. It looks like these other guys probably just finished up as well, so we can get that replay from them shortly. Back in over here. Yeah, mods can cause problems for no clear reason. Why? Not that Total War Warhammer 3 is the most stable of base games regardless, so... yeah, I mean... it is what it is. While we wait for Kirith, I did just receive the replay actually, so let's jump in that one moment here while I get this. And let's see here. Okay. Get this down just a little bit here. All right, so... all right, yeah. Alric Rawl versus Pembrokeshire. And yeah, the offending Hippogriff Knight was removed for just a Pegasus Knight, and then the rest of the value went to, I guess, what, like another Knight Errant? Something like that? Probably what we're seeing here. But anyway. Yes. We have a game now, finally. So let's transition this over here. And yes, as you can see, like I said, the offending Hippogriff Knight was removed, replaced with a Pegasus Knight, and the rest of the value is split out. I also allowed Pembrokeshire to reallocate up to 2,000 value of his army if he wanted to, so that he didn't feel like he was getting hard countered here. He does still have some flyers, Colostodon Hunters, and just the single Fire Leech Bolo, which is going to be at significant risk here, as it would be anyway against Bretonnia, to be honest. But yeah, some Skink cohorts. We've got the Legion of Chocolates here, Salon of Life, and a Rev Crystal. Probably would rather, considering you have the Salon of Life, I would probably swap the Rev Crystal out for a Solar Engine. I think it's a little bit better synergy to keep the Vigor up and to also have that debuff and to be able to shoot stuff. I generally, in the past, I don't know if it's still true, but the Solar Engine seems like it was an effective piece at shooting Pegasus Knights, if I remember right. But, yeah. Let's see what we can do here. And yeah, looks like Lizardmen going for the big wide flank here. And let's see. Yeah, the Shredder of Lustria leading a little bit, not taking too much damage so far. The Trebuchets are also focused on the Temple Guard here, which is their one unit of as well. But they are pretty spread out here, kind of far away. The Lizardmen monsters and other kind of support units got a little bit far from their anti-large support here, which is opening up a little bit of a charge avenue for Alric. But yeah, he didn't necessarily get punished too severely for it. But Trebuchet is definitely going to be a little bit of an issue. Clostodon Hunters are going to try and go after those Pegasus Knights. That'll be a pretty brutal trade for the Pegasus Knights if they do get caught, but yeah, the 2 Fire Leech Bolas so far staying pretty safe. But these Skinks, again, just getting pulled out of position here. Pembrokeshire has some of his units kind of isolated. We see also the Temple Guard here isolated. Because of the smallness of his army, he definitely needs to keep his units together so they can support each other as much as possible. But right now, these infantry units getting picked apart out on the flanks a little bit, but not too badly. He does manage to recover them somewhat back to a safe position. And yeah, Alric right now just kind of holding, playing fairly well defensively. He's keeping all of his cavalry close so they can respond to any threats that develop. Yeah, this Temple Guard here, ooh, they are going to turn and countercharge into those Knights of the Realm. Still take some damage on the charge, but should be able to get some nice damage back in return. Clostodon Hunters pulling back wisely away from the Peasant Archer support. 2v1 versus the Royal Hippogriff Knights and the Pegasus Knights I don't think is going to go particularly well, especially with Albric giving extra anti-large. Which I'm sure, yeah, he's got the Breda Bordalo, no doubt. So, yeah, you can see here Clostodon Hunters getting, again, a little bit maybe overmatched. Does look like the Lizardmen, or the Bretonnians rather, don't want to take this engagement too close to all the Lizardmen support, but yeah, then player throws in the towel there. I'm not really sure, but anyway. So, okay. So I guess that's that, and we can move on. Yeah, weird. That was really weird. But, oh well, nothing of value is lost. So, let's move on. Yeah, just a little bit odd. I mean, I guess he felt like my ruling was unfair, but that's pretty ridiculous, to be honest. uh... Pigman over here being... You're sus, Pigman. I'm just kidding. No, it's, yeah, let's see here. Plague Penguins, High Elves. First time seeing the High Elves today. Should be quite a bit of fun. Rider of Rohan's got a fever out there. Didn't join today. But hopefully he's watching this. Plague Penguins performance. Beastmen of Kirith. Should be in for a good time. I know Kirith got steamrolled by Bretonnia, so he's happy to get a second chance at life. Oh, where are you guys seeing High Elves? The tourney bracket. Yes, yes, indeed. Kirith here is playing the High Elves, and you guys can't see it, but now you can. Now you can. Now you can see this beautiful Malagor versus Dark Elf, or, sorry, High Elf Alariel game. Let's see what they can do. This is definitely a map. One of the maps of all time. And another beautiful one. Relatively flat, not a lot of big, grandiose, epic set pieces close, but just a nice, kind of naturalistic landscape. Very peaceful for now, until these two factions get their paws on each other. Speaking of paws, we've got Beastmen here. The Jabber Scythe does not have paws. It has things. Toes and hands, I guess? I don't know. We've got some Centaurs of Throwing Axes, some Centaurs of Tzeentch here, and regular Centaurs. Oh boy, Kirith loves his Centaurs here, and he's gone quite wide with them, with some Pestigors, Malagor up in the sky, and Butchers of Kalkengard. Fun, fun, fun in the sun. And for Plague Penguins, High Elves, Alariel on horseback. Very interesting choice. Super high melee defense for a Caster Lord with martial prowess active. She's at 67, which is just nuts. Not a lot of HP, but can be quite tanky against certain threats. Dragon Princes and the Fireborn as well. Triple Dragon Princes. I've been seeing a decent amount of this lately, actually, from High Elf players. Pretty good. Got Illyrian Reavers. Got Spearmen up front. Some Archers, and some Lothern Sea Guard. Yeah, it's elite cav build, which I do like quite a bit. Triple Dragon Princes, the build that dates back, you know, into early Warhammer 2, when High Elves were one of 4 factions in the game, right? Versus Lizardmen, Dark Elves, and Skaven. But, yeah. Should never played this game, but somehow came across tourneys and I'm hooked. Yeah, man. I mean, even if you've never played Total War, or if you've only ever played campaign in Total War, I think anyone can appreciate the spectacle of the battles of Total War Warhammer multiplayer, especially the skill involved, the grand sort of scale of all of these different units duking it out. But let's see, Kirith going with an extremely wide stance here. He's got his Centaurs and everything, you know, all cheated out in all directions. The Illyrian Reavers, Dragon Prince is definitely going to have their work cut out for them. One brave Reaver comes forward to try and capture the objective here. Malagor is going to come contest them. They do briefly seize the objective, but right away those Centaurs are going to be on the case. Centaurs of Tzeentch there. Oof, one Reaver pays the price, or three of them, I guess, pay the price there for their bravery. But let's see, the Jabber Scythe is definitely going to be a pretty sizable threat. The Archers of the High Elves are going to want to focus there as best they can. That said, there's also a lot of mobile threats out on the flanks for Plague Penguin to have to contend with, so it's beautiful. An up-close combat action. Oh yeah, phenomenal. I agree. Pestigor is going to take a few volleys here from the High Elves as they crest the hill. Speaking of up-close action, see the High Elves just marshalling defense, getting ready to withstand, focusing whatever targets come within range. A little bit of jittery camera movement there. I apologize about that. But Malagor also sweeping up and over, just cackling as he charges in. Pestigors will trade decently well against the Spearmen, especially when the Spearmen just kind of eat the charge there with that charge reflection. But, oof, brutal volleys going into the Centaurs of Tzeentch there as they kind of blunder forward and are actually countercharged by Dragon Princes and Spearmen. That's an absolute disaster. Lothern Seaguard out of the flanks, though, getting sandwiched, as are these Reavers out on this near flank here as well. Centaurs moving in. We've got a little bit of Earthblood on the High Elf side to keep things nice and topped up. Butchers of Kalkengard and the Jabber Scythe, though, just straight through the front line into the second level, getting right at those Archers. A quick hit and run and moving on to the next target there. Yeah, should be able to disrupt that backline pretty heavily, but the High Elves are winning at least this side's mobility engagement pretty decisively. There's Reavers, two of them, and the one Dragon Prince pushing back. The Centaurs should be trading decently cost-effective. It's probably pretty close to the same cost, actually, but yeah, the Fireborn here, getting a little bit caught up on the throwing axes. They do have some Spearmen screen kind of out in open space, keeping those Centaurs away, but the Archers for the High Elves definitely suffering pretty badly. Lothern Seaguard up on the flanks, at least the one is still relatively safe, as being covered well by the cavalry, as Plague Penguin here, Blood Penguin even, went Plague on this last DLC, I guess. Did he go change Penguin when Thrones of Decay came out? I don't actually recall. Probably not, because that... or Shadows of Change, yeah, because that DLC was poorly received initially, but anyway... Yeah, Centaurs continuing to struggle to get away from the Illyrian Reavers in the front line. Pestigors mopping up, starting to bust down some of those Spearmen and finish them off. And a little bit of terror rounds as well from Butchers of Kalkengard, lots of Beastmen infantry advancing. But the the Jabber gets caught out in the open space here, and yeah, isolated, starts taking a bunch of damage, but a little bit of overblobbing arguably here from Plague Penguin, as a lot of his cavalry is engaged here, and it looks like he's going to possibly be taking a side charge. Yep, exactly what you should do. Cheat the Spearmen out to screen. That kind of pushes the Butchers of Kalkengard back. You could also mass charge these cavalry and just crush these Centaurs, but it looks like Flock of Doom from Malagor going off there, doing some nice AoE damage. Plague Penguin focusing on taking out enemy mobility right now and finishing off those Centaurs, which is absolutely the right call. Malagor also drops down to try and fight Alariel, but this is where that massive melee defense comes into play. 67 melee defense versus 55 melee attacks. Malagor's hit chance is going to be in the 20s. Not great, to be honest, but yeah, Dragon Princes are also able to scream him out effectively there. One Reaver is getting eaten up now, but considering how squishy Reavers are, Plague Penguin's been doing a great job with them, just utilizing them to their best effect, trading cost effectively whenever Centaurs aren't getting the right engagements. Jabber's definitely going to prove to be a problem, though, in the late game. Malagor once again comes down and actually blasts himself with equal miscast damage to Alariel. Yeah, and the Dragon Princes countercharging Centaurs going to go pretty badly for the Goat Boys. Archers' jobs are to suffer, yes. Wish Pestigors were stronger. Me too. Pestigors are one of the worst infantry in the game, actually, probably. But, yeah, Plague Penguin a little bit ahead on value right now. Not to mention the healing, of course, for the High Elves. Means this is probably pretty true in terms of the actual reflection of the game state. But Jabber here, yeah, looks like Light of Averlorn going to be used there, Star of Averlorn even to heal up these. Is it actually hitting those spearmen for whatever reason? I guess their center mass is not technically on it, but at the very least it's hitting the 2 Dragon Princes, which is really all that matters, to be honest. But Dragon Princes... Not only Dragon Princes, but Tuxedo Princes at that, with one of the best color schemes in the game. Plague Penguin knowing his Elven style quite well. This is, as Rider Rohan would attest, the best color scheme. Yeah, Minotaurs are melting as well, especially under the fire and anti-large of the Fireborn, right? That extra boost from those 2 effects does matter considerably against the Butchers. So there you go. Looking pretty good. Yeah, looks like it's going to be Plague Penguin versus Alric for the final, but... Say but. There is no buts. 4,000 damage value difference for a faction with healing. The Jabber will make its final stand here with Malagor, but Kirith getting a second chance at life. A valiant attempt. Certainly no shame in the loss to Blood Penguin. It's a very good player. Very veteran player, for sure. So, yeah, looking good. Love to see some high elf victory as well. Especially heavy cavalry builds like Mass Dragon Princes, right? Triple Dragon Princes. It's a classic, truly. Cool pause protection there. I love that new animation, too, for pause protection. I don't know if I've seen that very much. Looking like a little armor up. A hard matchup for Beastmen, too. Yeah, it is, for sure. They definitely have lots of tools, don't get me wrong. High Elves do as well. But this is maybe the one matchup where the classic Cygor can be a decent tech pick. But, yeah, looking like Malagor carried a lot of value for himself, considering how cheap he is, but surprisingly, one of the worst performances for Centaurs of Tzeentch, and that's a big credit to Plague Penguin there for managing them so well and using his own cavalry to screen and attack and feint and just generally great micro there. So beautiful, absolutely beautiful to see. Pestigor is also doing a nice job. And no pity for Beastmen. They deserve at least one hard matchup. It's true. I mean, Beastmen right now, you say it's one, maybe. I might agree, I might disagree, but I can't think of many others where the Beastmen will struggle right now. Like, all their historical matchups are not nearly as hard as they used to be. But anyway, let's get Ulrich in here, and we will go on to the final. Bear with me just 1 second. And I'm going to get the scoreboard set up. Let's get some music going while I do so, and I'll be right back. Okay. I am returned. As you can see from the bracket, we are updated. I've got the scoreboard ready. So let's see how we can do here. Okay, yes, just working out the pick ban rules, making sure everyone's staying up to date on everything as these guys get their faction picks locked in. Factions on screen are not correct right now, so we'll be changing those shortly. But yeah, been my pleasure today for you guys. We've been on for about 2 hours now, and we are to the finals, so that's great. Made great time. I appreciate all of you being here, being efficient, working through games and everything. So, yes. Appreciate all the competitors today, all the viewers, everyone who's here watching, playing, having fun. It's been a blast. So we will continue on. As Angor's really helped Beastmen deal with so many range problems. Yes, them being like a mid-tier shielded, like more defensive than Gore's infantry helps them so much. And the fact that a lot of the Beastmen play right now, like spamming Flock of Doom is very good, spamming Melkos is very good. You don't necessarily spam Traderkin quite so much, but just in general, like casting spells, right, charges up Zangor's weapon strength, which just synergizes well with Beastman's playstyle currently, so yeah, definitely fun for sure. Okay, let's see here. For those of you guys who are curious, the Fruit Rules is put together by Community Committee, which is what we then base the unit caps on the mod on, right? So for those of you guys who are curious, here is the link to the Fruit Rules. You can find there like the faction limits, army unit limits, and everything. Attacking rules, which do not apply, of course, to land battles with caps. Sort of the point of land battles with caps is so that you don't have to have a whole applying rules section in your rule set. But yeah, let's see here. Continue this tournament on for some time. I have to go take a quick bio break in between this next set of games here, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm actually going to go do that real quick. I'll be right back. Oh yes, I am returned. Honey Nuts, the unknown is the spookiest of all. So actually, yeah. Yeah, you might be right. That's the thing about the unknown. Who knows? Who knows? Yes. Guys still doing their picks, it would seem, so we'll let them continue on, and we'll get with them shortly. Oh, yes, okay. Excellence is a virtue that we are all striving towards. Certainly. Oh, Alric did go with Bretonnia. Is it actually Bretonnia versus High Elves? That'd be hilarious. We went through that whole picking just for them to choose the factions that they join the lobby with. So we will actually assume that that will be the case. So let's go High Elves for Blood Penguin. And change this here. Alric going with Onya. Here we go. Look at that fancy scoreboard. So don't forget. Dun, dun, dun. And it looks like they are ready, and we are loading in. So here we are with the South Sea Mercenary League Finals number 3, and we've got Blood Penguin versus Alric Ral here on a Friday night. Hot summer sun beating down upon us. And here we are in the Hidden Trees, King Lewin and the Knights of Bretonnia facing off against the haughty High Elves. And we do see here 4 Silverins, 2 Phoenix Guard, 2 Spearmen, some Lothern Sea Guard, Bolt Throwers, lots of Anti-Large, makes a lot of sense. Probably fought this same build against Ryder Rohan myself, honestly, playing Bretonnia in the past. It is, you know, what you look for, so to speak, in an anti-Bretonian build. But ooh, look at that spooky darkness out in the distance there. That's a little uncanny, a little eerie. Yeah, there's some stuff happening over there for sure. Interesting. Oh, is this Cathay technically? I was thinking we were in the Empire, but no, I see the floating Cathayan buildings now. Oh yeah, there's a little village here as well. Interesting. Yeah, almost looks like the Empire tile set, but with Cathay on top. I feel like the Cathay tile set maybe looks a little bit different, but who am I to judge? I'm not a map maker. Anyway, let's talk about what's important here and take a look at these builds. So yeah, as said for Alric, we got the Hippo, we got Knights of the Realm, 1 Grail Knight, so yeah, he is technically even within the current fruit rules, even without making a ruling about it, which is nice. Ox Arrows, regular Peasant Bowman, a Damsel, and King Lewin. He's got Men-at-Arms front, mobs, Swordsmen-at-Arms in particular. Field Trebuchet also going in the trees there. Might have some issues with contact, but we'll see. For Mr. the Penguin. Archmage of Fire. Wow. Really interesting choice. The Legend of Red Eagle. Have you ever heard it? Well, prepare, because Red Eagle is here. And I'm very happy about that. Solid choice. Very interesting choice as well against Bretonnia, but makes sense. Try and burn out some archers and things. Guessing we're going to look at, like, Burning Head. Yep, and Fireball. Interesting. Could have some issues running from Lewin, but the Eagle should be fast enough to stay out in front, or can just hard land on these halberds. The 2 Phoenix Guard, as mentioned, Spearmen, Silverin Guard, and a Bolt Thrower. A couple of Lothern Sea Guard, 3 actually, specifically to keep things honest. And Illyrian Reavers. So, once again, Rider Rohan out there with his fever. He's getting healed, hopefully, by this High Elf build. Hopefully it continues to heal him and actually wins. But Alric's Bretonnia is definitely not looking too shabby. That is a Bretonnian build if I've ever seen one. Or yeah, just kill archers. Yeah, that's what I was thinking with this Lore of Fire here. Is just come in and try and burn out the Bretonnian archers. As we saw in a previous game, that Burning Head can just straight up shatter a unit of archers in one shot. So, yeah, that's pretty good value. And speed-wise, again, Lewin, only 100 speed. I say only. 90 speed on Hippogriff Knights, 110 for the Archmage. So as long as she stays far enough from Lewin to not pop his charge animation, she should be okay. But let's see here. Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower coming in range. Not sure what it's going to shoot at initially. Obviously, Grail Knights coming into range now would be a great target to switch onto. But, oof. Potential mistake there from Blood Penguin? No, he just risks it for the Burning Head. Not quite enough to disable the Trebuchet, unfortunately. But looks like the Bolt Thrower is going to switch on to Lewin initially. I don't know if it has a specific attack order locked in or if it's just fire at will right now. But we see the Trebuchet firing at the Silverin Guard there in the front line. So both players are probably going to want to take this little patient. A little hit and run there from the Reavers on those peasant mobs, making sure to keep the cavalry close and honest as well. Hippos moving in, try and take out Red Eagle. He's making another attack run perhaps on this backline area. Try and take out some more archers. Nope, looking like just ducking and dodging and weaving. Bolt Throwers are going to open up on Knights of the Realm. That is one target where they can actually like finish off their unit models. And just kind of feinting a bit with these Reavers, trying to find the right target for them to go after. The Hippos are also looming. They might just try and come in and just shut down this Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. Yeah, looks like they will. And Grail Knights also following up in a charge are just going to kind of blunder into the Phoenix Guard, which somewhat keeps the Phoenix Guard from reacting fully to the Hippogriff Knights, although they do still, to a degree, react to the Hippogriff Knights and are going to get some damage in, but Hippos there can try to mostly pull out. We do see a brutal Burning Head there in the back line as well, ripping apart some of those High Elven archers, so it's really just a matter of time, and I think the High Elf build is certainly more than sturdy enough to hold up against repeated cycle charges. Is there a... Yeah, Grail Knights, Knights of the Realm. Basically, it's a timer, right? Like, can the Grail Knights hold up long enough? The Grail Knights... Or, sorry, the High Elves. Gonna see healing trebuchets, perhaps? Yeah, it looks like maybe they did get some healing there, but anyway, yeah, the High Elves, as long as they can hold out long enough for the Burning Heads to do their thing, they should be able to get a good situation from that. Archers, I don't know, actually. I mean, looking at things, what are they really threatening here besides just doing general DPS, which I guess is a danger in and of itself, but Lothern Sea Guard here are unshielded. They're going to get focus fire by 3 archers. It's going to be pretty painful for Blood Penguin. And he does respond, though. Nice Burning Head once again. Bearing down another Peasant Bowman, and the overrun should clip this other unit here. Yes, it does, which leads them just barely into Wavering and Rout. Oh, man, just the tiniest kiss of a Burning Head. Enough for them to rout. The Hippogriff Knights also come in for another charge, just trying to wreck the Reavers. Once again, the anti-large infantry trying their best to respond. But here, these Grail Knights do get another impact on the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. Their mass is such that they will be able to pull out, but they're going to maybe lose a couple of models here in the process. Definitely looks like a handful of them got caught up and took some serious HP damage. Will they actually lose out any? Hard to say. But a couple of these High Elf infantry also did come a little bit too far forward here, to the point where they can kind of be rear charged, and they can't be covered as well by friendly units. Like Penguin's starting to get pulled a little bit apart here, but he is ahead on damage value, at least for the time being. Both players with plenty of access to healing. I guess I say that. High Elves don't actually have any healing here. So, yeah, the damage done is real. But that said, I mean, their power units right now are mostly fine, right? The Phoenix Guard holding out decently well. Spearmen, Silver Guard in the front line definitely taking some damage, but also holding out okay. Whereas, if we look on Bretonnia's side, yeah, I mean, Knights of the Realm, Grail Knights have taken some damage, but have also been able to sustain, for the most part, just fine here. So, definitely anyone's game still. Did not catch the Fireball, but yes, Fireball. Very solid. More healing on the Hippogriff Knights. They actually are getting reasonably close to their healing cap already, which means they have taken fairly substantial amount of damage. Looks like another opportunity here to charge the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower. Oh yeah, Phoenix Guard didn't take the best angle there to pursue. They are going to catch a couple of those models left. Another Burning Head there. Again, it's all about timing here, as long as Alric did manage to dodge that Burning Head slightly. Didn't do as much damage as it otherwise would have. Lewin's also doing some cycle charging here in the front line. But yeah, Knights of the Realm lost out pretty heavily on that charge, and might actually get routed here by the counterattack of the Illyrian Reavers, perhaps. Looks like they're going to re-countercharge back into the Reavers, so it's a really nice back and forth here. One of the best games we've had so far in the tournament, I have to say. Spearmen move in for support, and yeah, looks like Knights of the Realm will end up losing out on that engagement, so yeah, Alric starting to come back a little bit on value there, but playing Penguin still with a solid 1,000, 1,200 or so ahead. Yeah, this is definitely a very patient game by both players. But the Knights are starting to suffer. Knights of the Realm pretty much combat ineffective at this point. The Hippogriff Knights obviously are still doing very well. And interestingly, this one unit of Phoenix Guard, probably the Trebuchets have paid for itself just shooting that one unit of Phoenix Guard, to be honest. Kind of equalized the fight somewhat here, but this other unit still very healthy. Still got a lot of Spearmen as well as a Silver Guard in the back line there. Another brutal Burning Head, absolutely roasting those peasant bowmen. Man, what a scrap. What a scrap here. Grail Knights, more regrowth on them. Hippogriff Knights are pretty much at their healing cap, but a really nice rear charge on those Spearmen there. Just bunker bust them into oblivion. Grails are going to try and charge here. Yeah, Lewin also on station. There's Phoenix Guard here. They also charged Lothar and Seaguard while they were braced, so it wasn't the best, but now crushing rear charge on that Silver and Guard should be able to finish them off. And yeah, we'll see. Definitely anyone's game still. Players essentially neck and neck. Seaguard take another charge there from Knights of the Realm. Again, in the front, basically where they're braced. They should actually be able to hold out, maybe. Might lose out their leadership there. They're low enough. Archmage of Fire as well. I'm not sure how much Winds of Magic there are left to take out Spearmen and Swordsmen, but a nice Burning Head there should lead to these two, or at least the one unit routing. Yeah. Kyle's trying to keep the numbers game from going too far against them with that Burning Head, and so far has been reasonably effective, but I'm just not sure if they're going to be able to get through the elites of Bretonnia. And the numbers, too. There's a lot of numbers here still. Some Reavers actually... Wow, look at this. I didn't even catch this. The Reavers managed to go on a secret mission all the way into the back line, shut down what little ammo there is left of the Trebuchet. I mean, it definitely still paid for itself already, but might as well shut it down while you can. Yeah, 1,000 damage value on that Trebuchet is fantastic for Alric. But, Sword of Corone here, debuffing somewhat. You can see the Phoenix Guard moving out of the area of effect, so they don't get as effective arrows in their faces. Bretonnians also, some of their units starting to probably shatter here soon. These absolute MVP Reavers just connecting a charge before they're themselves going to get rear charged by the Knights of the Realm. They're going to try and escape there, but probably will just straight route from that. But, well, let's see here. These Hippogriffs come in for a charge. Again, they're not the best support situation. They kind of get a little bit surrounded. They're also getting shot by the Lothar and Seaguard as they retreat here. So, just taking little chips of damage all the way around. And Alric's managed to regain a little bit of value. Still about 1,000 down, but Definitely anyone's game still, man. What a scrap. I keep saying that, but this is why we do these games. And oh no! Oh, suddenly Alric goes for the Lord Snipe. Plague Penguin is forced to flee with the Fire Archmage. Yeah, the snipe attempt was definitely very rapid. Was not successful, but the Archmage able to escape there with her high speed. Now the High Elves starting to look like they're getting a little bit surrounded. The Grail Knights, the Hippogriff Knights definitely taking damage, but it hasn't been enough to finish them off. And really what we're looking at for the High Elves is like this Phoenix Guard, right? This one healthy-ish Phoenix Guard. This Lothern Sea Guard is about to eat a charge for them. And we see heals there still for Bretonnia. So, yeah, they're going to be able to continue sustaining those Grail Knights through this late game. But also taking some damage as they do cycle charge in and out of that. And see a Red Eagle charging in here right off these Peasant Bowmen in melee. Since all the Bretonnian mobility is elsewhere, might as well take advantage of that. And see Lewin and the Hippos popping back off their engagement to try and perhaps go back and pursue Red Eagle. Yeah, the damage Alric was able to do there on Red Eagle just jumped him ahead on value. Yeah, exactly, Your Majesty. That was a pretty decisive and quick engagement too, just very rapid. But let's see. Perhaps another Burning Head here could finish off some more of these Bretonnian support units, and then basically it's just can these defensive infantry hold out against the might of the Bretonnian cavalry. One Phoenix Guard, a couple of Lothern Sea Guard. That charge in there was a little bit of an angle where several models of the Grail Knights are going to get caught up there once again. Just unable to escape that blob, but suddenly, oof, yeah, Red Eagle once again playing it dangerously, trying to cycle charge in, maybe draw Lewin and these other, you know, high-value units away a little bit, perhaps, which does succeed in working somewhat, but yeah. Yeah, Alric doesn't need to worry too much about the points. He's got it on lock right now. And Plague Penguin could try and move onto the point and just defend, and that's probably what it looks like he's trying to do. But this might be it here. The Cavalry of Bretonnia going for a big all-in charge now. The Grail Knights actually not. Oof, maybe this isn't it. The Hippos charge in. They're going to do some solid damage to the Phoenix Guard and then pull back out, but they also take some pretty significant damage in return there, as you can see. And, yeah, the Grail Knights not able to follow up immediately at the same time. The Grail Knights are also charging through the back of their own troops right now, which is certainly not ideal, but still more healing available for the damsels somehow. Yeah, Phoenix Guard not immune to psychology, though, are very likely to get terror routed in a situation like this once their support does evaporate. And it looks like now surrounded by peasant mobs. Yeah, I guess there's no more magic left for any more burning heads or fireballs or anything. One right now through these peasant mobs just to get rid of the numbers would help the Phoenix Guard significantly be able to actually hit the Grail Knights and Hippogriff Knights, but Red Eagle gets caught by the Hippogriff Knights up in the air, and that's going to perhaps be game. She does manage to escape momentarily. Yeah, but does get terrified away, and that's probably GG. I'd imagine the Phoenix Guard are not too far behind in terms of being terror routed. Yeah, Phoenix Guard just not able to survive against such overwhelming odds. And that's going to be game. Point on the board for Alric. And yeah, Bretonnia, very impressive performance. Grail Knights and the Hippogriff Knights did what they needed to. And were able to, over the long run, prevail there. It's definitely very good performance from them and from the Trebuchets, likewise. The Bowmen also just basically cost-effective, not more, not less, but exactly what they needed to. One unit of Swordsmen also pays for itself. Peasant Mob is extremely cost-effective. On the Plague Penguin side, a lot of the anti-large infantry ultimately doesn't pay for itself, which is where I think he ends up losing out, but it's definitely Excuse me, a tough matchup for High Elves. I mean, there's not really a lot else you can do besides just bring as much anti-large as possible, but I don't know, maybe swapping these two Spearmen out for two additional Lothern Sea Guard just to give some additional missile flexibility, because it seems like the Sea Guards just perform much better than the Spearmen for a fairly similar role, so maybe just mix more of them in? I don't know. Tough for sure, but let's see what they got for the next one. GG. Yeah, it's a tough matchup for High Elves for sure. Bretonnia is just very strong. That's even with just one Phoenix Guard, or sorry, one Hippogriff, one Grail Knight, right? But Phoenix Guard, definitely very solid. Definitely very solid. See what these guys can do. Let's see here. I not finish updating the maps? No, I definitely didn't. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, let's see here. Yes, the last frontier is next map, so let's see what Blood Penguin can do. Let me update their factions. When they update their factions. Oh, let's see. You guys got any fun plans for the weekend? I got some family stuff coming up, obviously, with it being Father's Day here in the US. Got some plans for various father figures in my life. Yeah, gonna spend some quality time with my wife tomorrow. Maybe do a little date night. Not sure exactly what yet, but might go see a movie. Might stay in and watch a movie. Maybe do a little dinner out. I'm not sure exactly, but yeah, and then like I said, Sunday, family day for Father's Day. And this upcoming week, I'm going to be pretty busy with work and channel stuff. I'm going to get ahead on recordings when I'm going to be out of town. So if you have replays, now is the time. Send them on in, whether they're from the tournament or from Warpstone Cup or, you know, whatever. Whatever. So do. Dun, dun, dun. GG indeed. Yes. Now, what yeah, what are you guys up to? Anything fun? Anything going on? Are you hyped for the DLC? Corn, greenskins, and yeah, corn, greenskins, ogres. I don't know why I couldn't think of them. It's literally like the YOLO charge, like Meat Rush DLC, you know, like the yeah, just the all-in factions, right? The Unga Bunga, as some people have said. it's pretty fun, you know. Norska is still missing from that list, arguably, but hopefully Khorne gets some stuff that's usable for Norska as well. Hopefully they can do a Norska DLC sometime next year, but definitely hyped for it. Would love to see, sort of my top wishes for greenskins are for Black Orcs to get their armed with the Teeth rule properly implemented. Because currently it is, you know, Black Orcs just have great weapons. Technically, I think in tabletop, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, they could actually switch like every combat. They could choose whether they're going to use hand weapon and shield, great weapon, or dual hand weapon, which, you know, for Black Orcs in the game to be able to switch on the fly between, you know, defensive sword and hand weapon, or shield and hand weapon, dual hand weapon for like anti-infantry high overall damage, or great weapon for armor piercing. I think that would be an awesome change and probably wouldn't be that hard for them to do. Like they've done weapon switch abilities for units for like Troy and for Pharaoh, so it's not like it's something they couldn't do, right? It's definitely within the realm of possibility. So, Spider Rider buff, they're so weak for something that should be way scarier. Yeah, Spider Riders are a decent sort of mid-tier or low-tier light cavalry, but they used to be a lot stronger than they are. They could use with a small buff maybe. Right now it's all about your squig hoppers, right? So, anyway, let's switch on over to the bracket momentarily. We'll update the factions on the scoreboard. Gonna have some dwarfs versus beastmen. Interesting. I haven't seen a ton of dwarfs in this tournament, surprisingly, even though I think dwarfs are probably a very strong faction right now. I just don't think a lot of tournament players really love playing the dwarfs, but here we'll see Blood Penguin try and take them against the beastmen. I mean, a lot of people speculated that Valkia originally was going to be for Norska, but then of course she was added for Warriors of Chaos. Yeah, there's probably characters, right, that could fit into both. Like I've speculated about in the past, giving them like a Berserker of Khorne, a sort of a mid-tier unit, or even a high tier, like kind of midway between the Exalted Bloodletter and the Chosen, right? In terms of like speed and DPS. I don't know. It's a little bit of an awkward sort of slot to try and fit a unit into, but I think it would probably even make more sense to do something like a Horse Master of Khorne. Maybe they don't even have ranged attacks at all. Or maybe they have a very limited number of volleys, but they have, you know, dual hand weapons, very good DPS, and they're also fast like cavalry that are more in the sort of cost range of Centigors, right? You could almost compare them to like Centigors, just non-AP with like 50 weapon strength or something crazy, you know, like. Yeah, Spider Rider should be in the 80s speed range, and then Wolf Rider should probably be in the 100 speed range because they're supposed to be blazing fast. I don't know. I think Wolf Riders are 90 right now, but yeah, Spider Riders be more effective at being light cavalry. They need to be faster. I agree. Could bump them up to like 86 maybe. There's not a lot of things actually that are in the 80s speed range, weirdly enough. But for whatever reason, it's like jumps from like 78 to 90 usually, right? There's just not a lot that's like 85 speed. But weird. Werebears, that'd be cool. Yeah, I would down for them to lean more into the lycanthrope, like transformations. Yeah, I mean, I guess are there more Famir units as well, or like Famir characters, Famir matriarch maybe, or other things? Um, there's just so much they can do, but Norska needs a DLC. Like they need a full DLC. So my guess is it'll probably be Maybe, who knows? This is, again, no inside information, just wild speculation. Like, I could see High Elves, Norska, Slaanesh as a DLC, maybe. Like, High Elves versus Slaanesh is one that's been speculated about for a while. I mean, you could also do High Elves, Dark Elves, Slaanesh, which would be a little bit more boring. But, yeah, just because Norska needs to go in. And Slaanesh actually, arguably, other than star position, doesn't have the worst mechanics in the world. Like, there's a bunch of stuff going on there, but anyway. Ooh, let's see what we can do here. Add more Familiars, fix the Familiars we have now. Yeah, Familiars are pretty bad. They could just be better, straight up, but... Yeah, Slaanesh versus High Elves would make a lot of sense. Just throw in Norska because they need a DLC too, but... Yeah, I think that's right, dog. I'm pretty sure. The OVN Familiar mod is really good, by the way. I definitely have played a campaign, just a short one. It was only like a 20, 30... actually, no, maybe I went all the way up to 50 turns. Anyway, it was a pretty short one. Back in the day in Warhammer 3, when that first came out. But Bold Dwarf build. Yeah, let's see here from Plague Penguin. How many Slayers did he take? Yeah, all I saw was Harpies and like 2 Chariots for Disruption, so kind of odd builds on both sides, to be honest. I would fully expect Slayer spam from Dwarfs here, but maybe not. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, we've got Beastmen coming in hot with the front line of Pestigors. They've got a few Spearmen herd. Yeah, there's the Chariot. We've got Malagor and some Harpies. Some Centaur's throwing axes is also an interesting choice for sure. Trying to skirmish a little bit and maybe fight in melee as well. Got a couple of gyros for Plague Penguin. They're going to be at great risk, obviously, against the Harpies here. Let's see how they can do. You have some Slayers, Dragonbacks, some Longbeards, Dwarf Warriors, so very melee heavy, actually. With some mid-tier units, some Miners Blasting Charges, and then here's all the range. We've got Rangers, literally, and then a single Grudge Raker, not the ROR, but just regular Grudge Raker. Looking like they're getting ready for a little defensive formation out here on the side. But yeah, interesting builds on both sides. Just a general lack of Slayers, I would say. But at the same time, I guess I don't really expect the Beastmen to go super melee heavy in this matchup with like monsters and stuff necessarily, right? So yeah, I have no predictions so far. Orek's definitely a villain or all factions to have to fight against, so he'll be pretty decent here, but no other support heroes, no cheap Slayer heroes. Interesting. Very interesting. There is a little bit of terrain here as well. There's like this little, couple little impassable camps, one of which has been set on fire, as you can see. Provides a little bit of terrain blockage here in the center, nothing too crazy, but just a little something to keep these players honest as they advance up the side here. Kind of sets up, yeah. Well, if you can get on this position and set up with these two kind of forts covering your flank, you can kind of filter your opponent through this side of advance if they want to attack you this way, which can definitely be advantageous, but yeah, it's an interesting, like, I guess they're really banking on those throwing axe Centaurs. But all of this is going to be very scary for the Gyros to have to deal with, so we'll see. The Gyros are probably going to come forward and just start taking shots at the Pestigors, I would imagine. Try and go vote value they can while they can. Let's see. Taking some shots at Malagor there initially. They just missed completely on all those. No surprises there. He's a pretty speedy boy. But Harpies of Alric lining up. This is the final, yes. Yes, indeed, Loopy. And yeah, Dragonback Slayers take a little bit from that Flock of Doom there. Nothing too crazy. But the Dwarfs just advancing up the pipe. It looks like they are going to try and maybe set their edge against these forts and use them for defense. And perhaps break up the Beastmen army as much as possible. Let's see, so far. Just regular old Flock of Doom spam. Doing some damage to those Dragonback Slayers and the Ulthuar's Raiders since they're kind of stacked on top of each other. But Malagor also moving in to threaten the Gyros once more. Not the cheapest in the world to be units in the world to be losing, so you definitely want to try and get some value from them while you can. But play Penguin right now pulling up on the point, getting ready to defend, kind of just conceding the surround to Alric a little bit here, which you know, it's not like any of his melee prowess is particularly threatening. It's more just a lot of mobile riffraffs. So we'll see. Gyro's scouting, I guess. That's, yeah, it's time not spent shooting, and I do think they're going to be on a little bit of a timer once the battle actually gets going. So they come forward to skirmish a little bit with the Centaur throwing axes. It's basically an even trade. But it looks like they're going to pull back a little bit closer to the defense of those crossbows. Same thing over here, moving in to take a volley or two at the Centaurs there. Take a few models off and then pull back to the safety of the crossbows. Oh, maybe not. Maybe just stay on target there. Keep hitting those Centaurs as Alric tries to draw the Gyros out. A lot more skirmish-oriented than I initially anticipated in this matchup. But I guess Alric just looking to use that Block of Doom as much as possible. One Harpy makes an attack run here. They're going to get hit by Quarrelers. And the Grudge Rakers are also faced over in this direction here, so they can return fire on these Centaurs. Yeah, this is the problem with trying to kite the Dwarfs, is their shooting is so sturdy and so good that you are going to get blasted in return. And the throwing axes there, one unit getting Grudge Raked in the face, taking pretty significant damage. The other two try and pull up, but then, yeah, decide not to, as the Harpies start to take a bunch of damage. Ooh, one Harpy unit does land here. We get a couple of Chariots in action as well against the Longbeards. And some Beastmen units attacking out on this flank. Pestigors trading very well into Dwarf Warriors initially in the front line. Blasting charges, we're able to nuke one of those Ungor Raiders, and it looks like the throwing axes are going to be used in melee, or no, not in melee. Yes, in melee against the Grudge Rakers. Yeah, makes sense. You want to take out that high value unit as quickly as possible, but oof, those Centaurs are definitely taking some losses there. Little Flock of Doom as well as the Slayers. It's only the one unit of Slayers, and they have a lot of bases to cover, but and a lot of bases are also being covered by the ranged units right now as the Centaurs continue to get blasted. And interesting that the Harpies were used so aggressively against the infantry here. That is going to leave Alric with more limited options to respond to the Gyros. Granted, it does look like he was able to rout one of them regardless, just with Malagor there maybe, perhaps. But looks like, yeah, another unit does get caught there by Malagor and the Harpies as well, so things are looking pretty interesting so far. Dwarf backlines definitely taking some losses. The Grudge Rakers in particular is a pretty painful one, but everything else is going, well, yeah, hard to say. The frontline engagement's not going amazing as these Pestigors are trading quite effectively. This Miner also looks like now going to use their charges on the Pestigors there as they try and pull away. Does a decent amount of damage. The Slayers also continuing to try and stay on the move, stay up with those Chariots as much as possible, but it's definitely anyone's game so far. Both players scrapping hard here. And so far the Tuskor Chariots, they are some of the better Chariots in the game for the cost especially. Yeah, all the Pestigors will trade up very well into these Dwarf Chaff units. You can see the Slayers just try and get away from the Spearmen there as they're trying to go after some of these large. Yeah, it's looking a little dicey for the Dwarfs already. I mean, obviously Thorek is quite good. But, yeah, these Slayers And I just think he needed probably more of them in this matchup. I don't know. Now the Pestigors are also just cleaning up shop, probably trading super cost effectively. Well, yeah, that one maybe not so much. That one, yeah, they're trading okay at the end of the day. But we'll see in the long run how things go. Ooh, the Gyros might win in melee there against those Harpies and be able to return to help the Dwarven cause. But yeah, the Centigors, despite taking so much early damage, there's just so many of them, right, that they can continue fighting fairly effectively here. The Slayers do get some contact on the Tuskor Chariots and are able to do some damage back to them. Pestigors also still threatening here, as are all these Ungor Raiders. But Dwarven leadership definitely having some issues. Yeah, Dawi definitely having a tough time. Yeah, another Flock of Doom there. Nice rear charge from the Centigors. It is on a Longbeard, so it's not actually going to do all that much damage. But let's see here. Despite how dire things may seem, Plague Penguin's actually trading evenly in terms of value right now. It doesn't seem like battlefield situation-wise that he's necessarily trading well, but Slayers are still alive. He's still got a decent amount of this sturdy infantry alive. Not looking great, though, as Thorek. Probably a decent amount of value in him as well, right? So by damage value, raw damage value, not necessarily the best indicator, but even then, Alric's starting to, once again, take a lead on that front. Gyros coming through, and they're going to continue blasting with their steam guns. Yeah, Ungor Spearman Herd. Standing firm. We'll see. Dwarves are not out of this yet by any means. Thorek getting tangled up with Malagor is great for him. And the Slayers coming through to try and finish some units off, as are these Longbeards. These Longbeards holding out quite valiantly, all things considered. Yeah, maybe there's a reason why you do bring the Longbeards here. They're all still alive. But let's see here. Some more throwing axes going to be thrown in there. Another Flock of Doom here. Thorek's lack of actual effective AoE damage definitely coming back to haunt him at this point. Yeah. Yeah. Oof, maybe. There are a handful of Slayers here. Handful of Longbeards still fighting as well. Taking a charge there from the Centigors. Oh, we're going to see a nice Rune of Wrath and Ruin. Just detonates a big pocket of Beastmen infantry here. And they're actually probably all going to rout, so... I mean, the Dwarfs are struggling, obviously. But not going quietly, definitely. And Beastmen also, due to their low leadership, we could actually see a lot of these units just randomly start routing. And having a hard time staying on the battlefield. But I don't know. Are the Beastmen going to be able to kill Thorek himself is the question right now for Plague Penguin. Thorek, a little bit of a raid boss. I guess the Pestigors do have a decent amount of armor-piercing damage, and there's still that one unit fairly healthy. But the Rangers here, oh yeah, Plague Penguin going to throw in the towel there. It's possible Thorek could have held out in that late game, but there was still so much left for the Beastmen. It was just tough to finish. But yeah, Alric's going to take the win there on a 2-0 sweep. And a credit to him, managing to play through these games quite effectively. So there's that. Yeah, decent. Looking decent. So for Plague Penguin's side, definitely an interesting build. The Rangers, I agree, a little bit too squishy in this matchup. I definitely think even just like cutting down, you know, one of the Longbeards to a regular Dwarf Warrior, or maybe two, would give you the extra funds you need to like upgrade these guys. It doesn't cost a lot. It's what, like an extra 25 points each, 50 points each, to upgrade them to Quarlers just to get the extra armor. I think it's definitely worth it in this matchup. Yeah, those Chariots did some pretty beautiful work. I mean, they are just lower tier Chariots, but Tuskors are some of the most effective in the game still. They actually function. So yeah, we see there. The Grudge Rakers were able to get some really good initial value trading against all those Centigors, but just overall, I mean, the Rangers were even reasonably cost effective for the most part. It's just not quite enough And had they been able to stick around a little bit longer, you know, game of inches, maybe it could have turned out a little bit differently. Likewise, just maybe having more Slayers. I don't know. I tend to go with quite a bit of Slayers when I'm playing the Dwarfs, just because they are generally really good units. Even still here, the Dragonback Slayers didn't necessarily pay for themselves. But likewise, the Grimdelvers, because they do have Frenzy and a little bit better melee stats, I don't know. Again, holding up better against something like Centaurs could be worthwhile to take, but yeah, it is a very anti-gyro build, to be fair. If unanswered, heavy gyros will beat most Beastmen builds. It's true. Didn't go super heavy in the gyros in this one. But, yeah, I almost think maybe go with the cannons instead of the gyros in this specific instance. Like, if you're not going to go all in on the gyros, like, yeah. Interesting. But anyway, thanks all so much for coming out. Alric is going to take the win with that one. And, yeah, big thanks to everyone who joined in, all the participants and admins, viewers, everyone. You guys are all the absolute best. So thank you so much for watching, and be sure to